Can I just say that these weapons are some of the sexiest weapons Bungie has ever created? They literally said, hey, why don't we give the same aesthetic that Vex Mythic class possess and just give it to a bunch of other weapons? Today, we're going to be looking at the Timeworn Wayfarer, an absolute sexy scout rifle that I know many of you are probably never going to use because of the name Scout Rifle. But if you're a fan of Dead Man's Tale, perhaps you like things like the Prophet from Trials of Osiris or the Long Arm from Spire, this is an archetype that people either love or hate. But I can tell you right now, this, in my opinion, is the best feeling aggressive scout rifle in the game, rivaling even the feel of Dead Man's Tale. And that's a hard thing to do, considering DMT literally just got another buff. But let's dive into these perks and show you why this is one of my favorite scout rifles that the Echo episode has to offer. Now, considering that this isn't Echo's weapon, keep in mind, you get this weapon from doing the episode's activity. We did an entire guide on this. You can check that out. Locking down red borders for this, though, won't take you that long. With that being said, though, let's go over the perks that are present on this scout rifle. In column 3, we have Strategist, Shoot to Loot, To the Pain, Dual Loader, Keep Away, 4 times the Charm, and Hill Clip. Then in the 4th column, we have Snapshot Sights, High Ground, Eye of the Storm, Opening Shot, Precision Instruments, Incandescent, and Desperate Measures. Now guys, there's a lot of overlap here. You're talking good perks in both PvE and PvP with a ton of combinations here that can beautifully synergize. Now for those that aren't familiar with the new perks, you got things like Strategist, where final blows with the weapon generate class ability energy, and activating your class ability briefly improves this weapon's stability. So pretty much like Pugilists and Demolitionists, except for your class ability, netting you 10% of your class ability energy back per kill, with the enhanced version granting 11%. Then we have To the Pain. This is a perk that I've been actually kidding myself out more inside of PvP, which states that while the weapon is equipped, taking damage increases handling and aim assist until the weapon is stowed. Taking more damage increases the effect. Now this perk stacks up to 10 times, and it only loses its effect once your weapon is stowed. So you can basically just run around with this buff indefinitely. And these are some nice buffs across the board. For instance, aiming out sights at base takes 20 frames. Then with To the Pain fully maxed out, it only takes us 13 frames. The aim assist is a little bit harder to judge, considering it's a more subjective thing, because we don't really have the data to back it up. But yeah, it's noticeable. I literally can tell mid-gun fights that this perk is snagging me shots. The hitbox is so generous, more generous than even Dead Man's Tale. This is a perk definitely worth utilizing inside of PvP, and also something you can easily utilize right here on this scout rifle. Now onto the rest of the perks present in the 3rd column. You have Dual Loader, which is a great one on this particular archetype. This is a perk that I know many people back in the day didn't like because of its negative effects that it had on reload speed. Bungie has since reversed that though, as in there's no negative effects from Dual Loader. It's a good perk on shotguns, and right here on Timeworn, considering this archetype already loads 2 shots per reload, here it loads 3, with the enhanced version allowing you to load an extra bullet. Guys, you're talking 4 bullets per reload. Now look, this may not be your thing, but for some of us out there with the space cowboy fantasy, this allows you to do so. And loading 4 shots at a time is pretty damn sexy. Now the direct opposite of this, we have 4 times the Charm. This focuses on you landing rapid precision hits, and it returns 2 rounds to the magazine. Really, really good if you're just laying into a high health target, but again, if you mess up and don't land a crit, that messes with the flow. But this is a good perk when paired with one of our 4th column perks that we're going to get into in just a moment. With the enhanced version of this perk, simply just adding an extra second between precision hits, so in this case, more forgiveness, that being 3 seconds instead of 2. Now finally, the perk that we were most excited for is of course Hill Clip. This reads that reloading shortly after dealing a final blow grants cure to you and nearby allies. This is a great perk. It grants cure times 1 to your allies, but cure times 2 to yourself. Now something to note is that Hill Clip will proc every time you reload Timeworn Wayfarer, even though you're only loading 2 bullets at a time. This will still proc Hill Clip, which is a very nice interaction, as with these frames, you often find yourself reloading pretty frequently. Now the enhanced version of Hill Clip gives a little forgiveness, increasing the window to reload and proc the perk. Let me just say guys, Hill Clip is a favorite of mine. It's so hard to pass up this perk on any weapon. We used it for months on Heliocentric. I love it on Luna's Howl, and it being present on this archetype really just works. Now moving on to the 4th column, we have Precision Instruments, which reads dealing sustained damage increases precision damage. Now this can stack up to 6 times, with each stack ramping up in damage. Now if you miss it all, you will lose all of your stacks. So at 1 stack is a 4% damage increase, 2 stacks is an 8% increase, 3 stacks is a 12.5% increase, 4 is 17%, 5 is 21%, and at 6 it's 25% increase. Now the enhanced version of this increases the damage per stack, which essentially essentially allows the 6 stack to grant a 30% increase to your damage. Now listen, I'm a big fan of precision instrument on heavy weapons, especially weapons like Doom Petitioner that are 3-round bursts. Granted, they did get a nerf here recently, which really sucks, which is why Scintillation, the most recent linear fusion rifle we reviewed, I'm leaning more heavily toward perks like bait and switch again. With that being said though, is precision instrument the way to go on the scout rifle? Well, keep in mind, if you miss a shot, that's it. You just lost that damage buff, and it hurts. All that work you did to build up to it, gone. It really makes you wonder what else you could be using in that 4th column, which now enters Incandescent. Defeating a target spreads Scorch to those nearby. More powerful combatants and opposing guardians cause Scorch in a larger radius. Now, we love this perk, guys. We're talking 30 Scorch stacks to nearby targets when you land a kill. This can be increased to 40 with Ember Ashes and 45 with Enhanced Incandescent. This is such a strong perk. I'm actually concerned Bungie's gonna nerf it, because it seems like every single weapon we ever get that can roll with Incandescent, that's what we go with. But you're not using a scout rifle for DPS. You're using it to clear ads. And Incandescent allows your weapon to clear ads more effectively. And the synergy it has with Hill Clip and solar in general is just too good. Now, we do have other perks. Got things like Desperate Measures, not a bad perk. We're talking 10% increase for 7 seconds when landing a weapon kill. This jumps up to 20% at 2 stacks and then 30% at 3 stacks when landing a grenade or melee kill. It's a good perk because you can essentially keep carrying it over and refreshing it on weapon kills. But again, you got Incandescent. Now, taking a look at the origin trait present on all of our Vex theme Echo weapons. This is a good perk, which surprisingly was good inside of PvP. And this is Radiolaria Transposer, which reads that rapid final blows causes targets to explode into a pool of Radiolarian fluids. Now you can see here it takes 3 rapid kills to spawn that pool. This lasts for 4 seconds, but we also have an artifact mod that will boost this effect, that being Logic Reductor. Essentially, weapons with this origin trait deal increased damage to Vex, and it extends the duration of those pools, essentially going from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. It's a nice bonus. On top of that, in our artifact, we have Unstoppable Scout Rifle to, of course, stun unstoppable champions. This, of course, overcharges the weapons when selected. So flat-footed here, Timeworn is walking around with a 25% increase to its damage. It's not like these artifact mods are going to make Timeworn a meta monster, but it is nice additional benefits, especially if you're a fan of the scout rifle, to just tack on at literally no cost. Now moving on to our Godroll recommendations. I think it's clear where we stand on this, guys, when it comes to dealing with ads inside of PvE. Hill Clip, Incandescent, all day long. It's a potent combination on a variety of other weapons, and it's potent here. Now, if you did want to lay into a single target, by all means, guys, you can go 4 times the charm and precision instruments. But again, the moment you miss a shot, that's when you're punished. Now, what about PvP players? Guys, I actually use this throughout comp and even in a few 6v6 games, and man, I really liked it. And I didn't even think I was taking advantage of its best perk combinations. I was using To the Pain, and I was also using precision instrument, but I wasn't even using Enhanced To the Pain. I do think To the Pain is probably the best perk here, and this is coming from someone that loves Keep Away. The only reason why I'm saying you don't need Keep Away is because, well, this thing's already got a ton of range. I mean, you're talking 78 meters before receiving damage fall off, at least while aiming down sights. For my folks that are out there trying to hip fire with it, yes, you can. Matter of fact, there were multiple times that I did hip fire it, but keep in mind, I wouldn't go in there like OG DMT trying to land the hip fire shots. You could try to do it, but it's not the easiest thing to do. The only time I really relied on the hip fire was when I was needing to get a cleanup kill. We also have in the 4th column, High Ground. Now, this is an interesting perk, and it just got a rework with the release of the final shape. It now provides a stacking damage bonus when getting kills, similar to Rampage, but you can reach a max of 3 stacks instantly by dealing damage to a target from the high ground. Now, something to note is that inside of PvP, kills with your weapon will always grant high ground ×2, which is a 10% increase in damage. The enhanced version just simply gives you +5 reload. Now, what this offers you inside of PvP is some level of forgiveness, and you'd be surprised how often you can gain the high ground. For instance, trials this past weekend, I was literally just finding little ledges that I would stand on, and boom, that would count as high ground. Now, you can, of course, float. That doesn't count. It needs to be you physically standing on an object that gives you the high ground. But so long as you are, after shooting a target, you'll see the buff activate right above your weapon, and this lasts for 7 seconds. This gives you a 15% increase to your damage at max stacks, enabling you to land a kill on a Guardian, tier 9 and below, in 1 crit, 2 bodies. Now, I know the time to kill here here is unchanged. It's still 1 second, but the point is, it adds a lot of forgiveness and it's free. Outside of that, in that final column, the needle is really not going to move with precision instruments. You'll get some added forgiveness in there as the crit damage will increase, but it's still a 3-tap all around the board. And you're still looking at a TTK value of 1 second, which I know a lot of people are not going to like. But again, this is not a weapon that's meant to square up in the middle of the open with the Kvostov. That's not what you use a scout rifle for. You sit in the back, you tap away, you chip away at opponents. Anyone that steps out, even for a brief moment, boom, you hit them with a chunky amount of damage. And if you are rocking precision instruments, that damage will continue to increase every time you see a head slightly pop out. At the end of the day, though, you're still looking at 2 crits in 1 body, even with precision instruments and the enhanced version. We're talking all resilience levels, 2 crits, 1 body, which is why I would consider other trade options. In this situation, guys, you may want to consider perhaps opening shot or even Eye of the Storm. You're talking 2 perks that are going to allow your weapon to help you in duels. One that's going to help you on the front end with those initial duels. And the other that's going to help you mid-duel as you begin to lose health. What I will say is opening shot may actually be the way to go. The aim assist bump is really, really nice. The range is not necessary, but if you do find yourself in a situation where you are hip firing, this is going to allow you to still land your shot, at least the initial one. What really ends up happening is that you have a perk like To the Pain, which works similarly to Eye of the Storm. That's going to carry you throughout the gunfight. Matter of fact, your target acquisition in this situation is actually at its weakest at its first shot, which is why opening shot here will most likely be the best play for my PvP players. Now, if you added Radiant, this changes things up. Considering that this is a solar weapon, keeping up Radiant is something fairly easy you can do on the scout rifle. With Radiant active, you could secure a kill in 1 crit, 2 bodies on a Guardian, tier 4 resilience and below. Now, what happens if you pair Radiant with Precision Instrument or High Ground? Well, Precision Instrument can secure a kill with 1 crit, 2 bodies on Guardians, tier 6 resilience and below. But due to the perk requiring you to land the 2 bodies first and then hit a crit to ensure you get the maximum damage on the final shot, it's not something that I would say you should go for intentionally. It's nice, but it doesn't move the overall needle. However, High Ground with Radiant is able to land the kill in just 2 crits. This is max stacks of Radiant with High Ground active. Look, you may be on a hunter. Maybe you can proc Acrobat's dodge, you give yourself Radiant, you've got the High Ground, boom. You can now kill any Guardian in 2 crits, 0.5 seconds. That's nuts, guys. So for my folks that never use High Ground, I want you to try to consider it just this once for Timeworn Wayfarer. Overall, guys, I love this scout rifle. I think it's the best 120 scout rifle in the game, tying itself with Dead Man's Tale. And in some situations, I think I may prefer this over DMT, simply because it's not an exotic and it frees up my exotic slot and that kinetic slot for none other than, well, of course, conditional finality, aka the best shotgun in the game. Now, are people going to use this scout rifle? We'll see. You know, only certain maps are going to really pull this playstyle out of players. I liked it though in my time in comp. And comp is pretty fast paced for the most part, but I felt really good about it. I was setting up targets, not being overly aggressive, and just simply playing around the objective. And what I found is that people were just not expecting someone to be breaking out an aggressive frame scout rifle. And Timeworn was able to take full advantage of it. So guys, that is our review here for this weapon. As far as other perks in terms of barrel as well as mag, obviously for PvE, anything that boosts your mag size, whether you go the route of Impendant Mag or Tac Mag. Again, Tac Mag is really nice because it increases your reload speed. For PvE though, you can really go the route of like steady rounds, like just boost that stability. You don't need the extra range. It's not like you need accurized rounds. And then as far as your barrel perk, you most definitely can go the route of Arrowhead Break if you wish. This increases your stability greatly. I did spend a lot of my time playing with its default recoil direction of 58. It's not the best. There's definitely some deviation, but yes, you can get away with it. With that being said, it's a craftable weapon. It's not like you can just load out Arrowhead Break and easily rectify that problem with an 88 recoil direction. It's not completely vertical, but vertical enough. Overall, guys, a very solid scout rifle. I highly recommend it. It's got that hill clip incandescent combo that's so deadly on our solar weapons, and the weapon at base is also a solid one inside of PvP. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.